What dessert is next?
A chocolate potato cake.
Where is it from?
This cake originates from Ireland, which is not a huge surprise because there's potatoes in it. And potatoes are a big deal in Ireland. My family ancestors come from Ireland, and I really want to go there one day. So I made this dessert, and I'm assuming you can get it more easily there, or you could see it more easily there than you can find it here, because I had never heard of it before, and I doubt many people have.
Why did you choose this recipe?
It was the first one I saw, and it was obviously intriguing because there's potatoes in it, and you don't normally see potatoes in a cake or any dessert for that matter.
What do the potatoes do in the cake? Can you taste them?
Potatoes are apparently known for adding moisture and shelf life to cakes and breads and other desserts, and you can't really taste them, or at least I couldn't in this one.
What time period was this type of cake from?
These cake recipes can be traced back to Ireland in the 1800s. Chocolate began to make its way to Ireland in the 1600s, but it was only really available to the wealthy and higher up people. So as prices dropped, the more common consumer could afford chocolate and could make cake with it. And since it's Ireland, potatoes got added to it. Ireland is the third leader in chocolate consumption per capita, actually, and it's only behind Switzerland and Germany.
That's surprising. I definitely would have thought that Mexico would be in front of Ireland.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
Was the Irish chocolate potato cake hard or complicated to make?
It wasn't super complicated to make, but I accidentally forgot to measure out the exact amount of cooked potato in the recipe. So I cooked the potatoes and mashed them, and I was supposed to weigh them before I put them in the recipe, but I didn't. So I put like 4 times more than was expected. But I think it turns out okay.
Did the potatoes affect the taste at all?
Not really. The hardest part about the recipe was getting the grated chocolate to... Wait. Blah, okay, grating the chocolate was the hardest part about the recipe because it took a long time and it wasn't very fun to do. But the potatoes didn't affect the taste because of the chocolate. But you could kind of feel them because of the texture, because I didn't mash them very well and I put in way more than you were supposed to. But the chunks weren't super noticeable. They were kind of like finding like a cooked like walnut in the cake. So that's what I would compare them to. But they weren't terrible because they didn't really have much of a taste because of the chocolate.
Did the potatoes actually help with the moisture?
The cake was definitely very moist and it was super dense. That's probably because of the large amount of potatoes again. But it was either undercooked or just super moist. And I think it was cooked fully, so...
Did the cake look like it was supposed to?
Yeah, for the most part. This cake is made in a bundt pan, or you could also make it in a bread pan or a tube pan. I don't really know what a tube pan is, but I had a bundt pan, so that's what I made it in. And then you had to let it sit for like 20 minutes after it was done baking. I'm not really sure why, but I think it helps it like settle. And then when you're done, you flip it out of the pan, and you can top it with different kinds of frostings. Or I didn't want to make a frosting, so I just dusted it with powdered sugar, which looks nice and simple.
Overall, was the baking experience good, and would you make it again?
It was an interesting cake to make, definitely, and it wasn't that difficult, and it tasted pretty good, but it took a really long time, took almost 2 hours, and you had to cook the potatoes and wait for them to cool, so that was kind of inhibiting. But once you had the batter done and the pan done, it was fine.